Real confidence is not found in the volume of your voice or the grandness of your displays. It is not an attempt to show off your achievements, to constantly chase the shifting sands of external approval, or to tirelessly try and prove your inherent worth to a world that is not asking for proof. Genuine, authentic confidence possesses a profound sense of calm. It is an unshakable, steady force. It is that quiet, deep power that naturally compels others to stop and take notice, without you ever having to raise your voice or demand their fleeting attention. The most advanced, highest manifestation of this confidence is characterized by an absolute stillness. This is the state where absolutely nothing has the power to shake your core. Nothing possesses the ability to provoke an impulsive reaction from you, and nothing external can successfully control your decisions or your emotional state. The vast majority of people navigate the journey of life in a perpetual state of reaction, instantly responding to every little stimulus thrown their way. They react feverishly to criticism. They recoil immediately from rejection. They are swept away by the inevitable chaos of daily existence, and they are constantly modulated by the ever-changing opinions of others. Each single uncontrolled reaction they make effectively gives away a small, precious piece of their personal power. But when you dedicate yourself to the profound discipline of reacting to nothing, you fundamentally stop giving away your invaluable energy. You begin the process of becoming truly untouchable. You move through the world with a palpable presence, a sort of quiet authority that is both exceptionally rare and profoundly impactful. This is the kind of confidence that can never, ever be successfully faked or manufactured. In this exploration, we will thoroughly dissect the exact methodology for building this caliber of unyielding confidence. You will gain the vital knowledge of how to permanently silence the debilitating noise of self-doubt, how to exert mastery and control over your deepest emotions, how to cultivate a healthy, necessary detachment from the immediate outcomes of your actions, and ultimately, how to carry yourself with the inherent authority of an individual who genuinely needs nothing from the outside world and consequently fears absolutely nothing. Every concept presented will provide you with practical, actionable steps and timeless, enduring truths that, when diligently applied, will fundamentally transform not only the way you perceive yourself, but also the way the entire world naturally responds to your presence. This is not an exercise in mere pretense or acting. This is a dedicated process of true internal becoming. So, take a moment, draw a deep breath, consciously clear your mind of unnecessary clutter, and prepare yourself to step into the strongest, most authentic, and unshakable version of your own self. Let us now begin this transformative journey. One of the most immediate and efficient ways individuals unconsciously drain their inherent confidence is by engaging in the continuous, habitual behavior of explaining themselves. Take a moment to truly consider this. How many times in your life have you found yourself launching into lengthy, completely unnecessary explanations, driven purely by the fear that people might otherwise judge you unfavorably? Perhaps you arrived late to an appointment, and instead of simply offering a brief, sincere "thank you for waiting," you felt compelled to deliver a comprehensive 5-minute monologue detailing the unexpected traffic congestion, the tragic failure of your alarm clock, or the sudden, inexplicable death of your phone battery. Or perhaps a person merely questioned a decision you made, and you instantly felt an overwhelming urge to meticulously justify every minute detail, solely in the hope of feeling understood and accepted. Here is the simple, powerful truth of the matter. Truly confident individuals simply do not engage in this behavior. They do not operate in a constant, low-grade apology mode. They feel absolutely no frantic need to scramble to prove their fundamental worth to every person they encounter. Why is this so? Because they possess the deep, unwavering internal knowledge that their intrinsic worth is not a subject up for debate or public scrutiny. When you make the conscious decision to stop the endless cycle of explaining yourself, you instantaneously project a powerful, inherent strength. Your words, when you choose to use them, suddenly carry significantly more weight and importance. Your very presence begins to quietly command a deeper level of respect from others. Now, it is crucial to understand that this is not a directive to become overtly rude, dismissive, or arrogant. This transformation is about cultivating the wisdom to know precisely when to keep your communication brief, crystal clear, and absolutely firm. Instead of feeling the obligation to justify every single move you make, you learn the vital skill of simply standing behind your choices with conviction. If someone asks you a question about why you are pursuing a particular course of action, you do not need to provide a full-length essay detailing your motives. A simple, confident, and concise response is entirely sufficient. Reflect on the quiet power embedded in a person who simply states, "I chose this because after careful consideration, it is the correct path for me." And then they stop talking. There is no over-explaining, no nervous backpedaling, only a calm, undeniable certainty. That, precisely, is confidence in action. Each and every time you feel the need to unnecessarily explain yourself, you are unknowingly sending a subtle, silent message to the world that says, "I desperately need your external approval in order to feel fundamentally okay about myself." Conversely, every time you keep your answer short, allowing your clear choice to stand entirely on its own merit, you broadcast an infinitely louder, more powerful message that clearly states, "I do not require your permission or validation to proceed with my life." Here is a practical challenge for you to implement in your life for the upcoming week. Practice catching yourself in the very act of over-explaining. The precise moment you recognize yourself beginning to construct a cascade of excuses or lengthy, detailed justifications, stop immediately. Consciously replace that impulse with a response that is simple, firm, and entirely direct. Try statements such as, "I am unable to make it," or "I have decidedly chosen to pursue this direction," or perhaps, "That specific option does not align with my current needs." Then, crucially, follow that statement with silence. Allow the sheer weight of that silence to carry the inherent power of your conviction and confidence. Initially, this practice will almost certainly feel deeply uncomfortable. You will experience a strong, magnetic urge to fill that space, to desperately justify, or to instinctively soften the impact of your chosen words. However, through consistent, intentional practice, you will uncover a profound, life-altering realization. The less you feel compelled to explain your actions, the stronger, more centered, and more self-assured you become. People will naturally begin to take you more seriously, and even more importantly, you will begin to take yourself more seriously. True, dangerous confidence begins its ascent with this small yet unbelievably powerful shift. Cease the explanation. End the overjustification. Place your deep trust in the wisdom of your own choices. Stand absolutely firm behind every word you speak, because the very moment you genuinely no longer feel the internal need to justify yourself to every person you meet, you have already taken the most significant step toward truly becoming untouchable. If your ambition is to cultivate a dangerously unshakable confidence, you must immediately begin with the voice that speaks to you most frequently and with the most intimate knowledge, which is the internal dialogue in your own head. That constant voice serves as either your most powerful, greatest weapon or your most persistent, biggest enemy. It is either perpetually building you up with encouraging affirmations or relentlessly tearing you down with subtle criticisms. Here is the critical insight that the majority of people never fully grasp. The specific, private way you habitually speak to yourself on the inside will inevitably and demonstrably show up in the way you present yourself and act in the public world. Consider this scenario. If your inner voice is continually whispering phrases such as, "I am clearly not good enough for this," or "I inevitably mess things up when it matters," or "Everyone is likely judging my appearance and decisions right now," how precisely do you believe you will carry yourself when you walk into a crowded room? You will likely appear nervous, hesitant in your movements, and physically smaller than you are. However, if that very same inner voice is calmly affirming, "I am more than capable of handling this situation," or "I have successfully overcome far harder challenges in the past," or "I am precisely where I need to be in this very moment," you will enter that same room standing taller, moving with a palpable calm, and exhibiting a sharper, more focused demeanor. Same exact person, but a fundamentally different internal voice. And that seemingly minor difference changes absolutely everything about the external reality. Genuine confidence does not originate from external applause, a list of achievements, or the quantity of attention you receive. It takes root and begins to flourish deep within the quiet sanctuary of your own mind. It starts with the specific words you grant permission to echo and resonate inside your head on a daily basis. You have absolutely no control over what every single person in the world may choose to say about you, but you possess total, absolute control over the narrative you consistently repeat to yourself every single day. The common mistake people make is to passively wait for life to validate their worth before they attempt to change that powerful inner voice. They mistakenly believe that once I achieve financial success, then I will suddenly feel confident, or once people universally respect me, I will naturally start talking to myself better. But the truth operates in the exact reverse direction. You must not wait for external proof of your worth. You must actively create that internal proof yourself. You must immediately begin the practice of speaking to yourself as if you are already an individual inherently worthy of the utmost respect. And inevitably, your subsequent actions will begin to organically follow and align with that deep-seated belief. Here is a crucial secret about the mind. Your brain is a creature that believes in and is fundamentally shaped by repetition. Whatever mental statement you consistently and repeatedly tell yourself becomes, for all intents and purposes, your living truth. Say to yourself, consistently and for a prolonged period, that you are weak, and you will eventually begin to shrink both mentally and physically into that weakness. Say to yourself consistently and with conviction that you are capable, fundamentally strong, and inwardly calm, and you will begin the process of rising to meet the powerful standard set by those very words. The inner voice functions much like an internal thermostat, as it is constantly setting the ambient temperature of your confidence level. If that internal setting is perpetually low, you will always inevitably sink back down to that level, regardless of how much external success you temporarily manage to taste. If that setting is consistently high, however, you will possess the mental fortitude to rise above any challenge because you internally believe with total certainty that you belong at that elevated level. So the critical question is, how does one achieve this mastery over the powerful inner voice? You must begin by catching it red-handed in the act of negative self-talk. Commit to paying deep, close attention to the quiet, subtle lines you whisper to yourself throughout the course of a normal day. When you make an inevitable mistake, do you impulsively say, "I am so incredibly stupid for doing that"? Or do you calmly reframe the experience by saying, "That's a learning experience, and I will certainly apply that lesson and do better the next time"? When you happen to look at your reflection in the mirror, do you immediately zoom in on every perceived flaw and imperfection? Or do you take a moment to gently remind yourself that you are actively showing up, that you are continually improving your life, and that you are an individual of inherent, undeniable worth? These small, almost imperceptible moments of internal dialogue shape and determine absolutely everything about your external reality. The ultimate goal here is not to cultivate some form of fake, toxic positivity. You do not need to lie to yourself by claiming you are perfect in every way. True, dangerous confidence is never about deceiving yourself. It is about choosing to speak to yourself with inner strength and resolve, even and especially when external circumstances are far from perfect. It is about intentionally selecting words that build you up rather than defaulting to words that consistently destroy your self-esteem. For instance, instead of the self-defeating statement, "I simply cannot handle this right now," you can choose to affirm, "This specific task is currently difficult, but I possess the capability and the will to figure it out." Instead of the generalization, "I always end up failing at things that matter," you can choose the perspective, "Every single setback I encounter ultimately teaches me a vital lesson that makes me inherently stronger for the next attempt." When you finally begin to actively direct your powerful inner voice instead of passively allowing it to run wild and unchecked, you will inevitably notice a profound and life-altering change. You will immediately stop reacting so severely and harshly to external challenges, the sting of criticism, and the blow of rejection. The reason for this transformation is simple. Your mind is now thoroughly trained and conditioned to back you up, to be your most loyal and strongest ally, rather than remaining your most relentless internal critic. Let me present you with a structured challenge. For the entirety of the next 30 days, make it a non-negotiable ritual to tell yourself 3 specific affirmations out loud every single morning. The affirmations are, "I deeply respect myself. I possess the inner resources to handle anything that this day presents. And I require absolutely no one's approval to confidently move forward with my life." It may feel incredibly awkward or self-conscious at first, but commit to saying those specific lines every single day without fail, and then observe how your body posture and your self-perception begin to fundamentally embody and carry the weight of those words. Pay close attention to how your entire energy shifts and changes during simple conversations. Notice how you walk and enter different situations with an entirely new level of confidence and poise. Your internal voice is the absolute foundation upon which all your confidence is built. Master that voice, and you will not merely present the illusion of confidence, you will feel it deeply, genuinely, and entirely in your bones. And once that unshakable feeling is established, no one and no external circumstance possesses the power to take it away from you. Because here is the indisputable truth that underlies all of this. Confidence is never what happens when other people finally decide to believe in you. Confidence is what happens when you decide to believe in yourself first and foremost. And that singular life-changing belief begins and ends with the voice that resides inside your own head. Every kind of genuine, enduring confidence is ultimately predicated upon one simple, fundamental truth. It is utterly impossible to feel truly powerful and effective if you have not first established a deep core self-respect for yourself. Respect is the absolute bedrock foundation. Without it, any display of confidence is nothing more than a fragile act, a temporary mask you wear in a desperate attempt to convince others, while deep down in your core, you remain painfully unsure and inadequate. However, when you dedicate yourself to building genuine self-respect from the ground up, confidence immediately ceases to be a performative act, and it organically becomes the very essence of who you are as a person. Think critically about how you habitually treat people you hold in high esteem and respect. You listen intently to their words, you highly value their time, and you implicitly trust their considered decisions. Now, you must ask yourself, with brutal honesty, do I consistently treat myself with that exact same level of respect and consideration? Or do you perpetually cut yourself down with excessive, self-defeating criticism? Do you consistently ignore your own deep-seated needs and allow others to violate your established personal boundaries simply because deep down inside you harbor a belief that you are not truly worthy of better treatment? The powerful and often uncomfortable truth is that the way you choose to treat yourself on a daily basis effectively sets the universally accepted standard for how the rest of the world will inevitably treat you. If you show a persistent disrespect for your own valuable time, others will quickly begin to disrespect it as well. If you speak to yourself internally with a consistent, poor, and negative narrative, you will find yourself tolerating others speaking to you in the exact same disrespectful manner. But when you make the conscious commitment to begin showing yourself deep self-respect, when you consistently hold yourself to a significantly higher, non-negotiable standard, the people who surround you immediately sense this powerful internal shift. They react and respond to you in a profoundly different manner. And that exact moment is precisely where the development of dangerous, unshakable confidence begins to fully take its magnificent shape. Self-respect does not magically appear following a list of massive external achievements. It is forged from the small, consistent daily choices that send a powerful, clear signal to your subconscious mind that states, I genuinely matter. This includes things like consistently keeping the promises you make to yourself, diligently following through when you explicitly say you will complete a task, and adamantly refusing to settle for situations that violate or go against your core values and principles. Every single small act of respect you intentionally show yourself acts as a foundational block, steadily building and cementing an inner core of strength within you. When you wake up at the agreed-upon time simply because you told yourself you would, that is a profound act of self-respect. When you choose to calmly walk away from a toxic or unnecessarily dramatic conversation instead of desperately trying to win approval or prove your point, that is an act of self-respect. When you clearly set a non-negotiable personal boundary and then courageously hold that line, that is an act of self-respect. Each one of these seemingly small internal choices may appear insignificant on the outside, but when accumulated, they forge the deep, unshakable internal feeling that you can always trust your own judgment and resolve. And once you have achieved that level of self-trust, true confidence naturally and inevitably begins to flow. Here lies the key takeaway. You must respect yourself fully first, and the rest of the world will be left with absolutely no choice but to adjust their behavior accordingly. You will no longer feel the desperate need to beg for external recognition. You will no longer waste your energy explaining or trying to prove your fundamental worth. You will simply and profoundly know it deep in your core. And because you know it, with absolute certainty, others will inevitably see it reflected in your presence. So, if your true desire is to construct a form of confidence that will truly last the test of time and adversity, do not start with superficial, fake pep talks or temporary motivational boosts. Start with the foundational practice of respect. Begin with the precise way you choose to talk to yourself, the intentional way you carry yourself through the world, and the unyielding way you hold yourself to a significantly higher personal standard. Confidence that exists without a bedrock of self-respect is fundamentally hollow and empty. But the self-respect that is consistently practiced and reinforced every single day will eventually overflow into a form of confidence so inherently strong and resilient that it simply cannot be broken or taken away. And once you have successfully built that internal strength, no one has the power to take it from you ever again. One of the most persistent and debilitating traps that continuously steals personal confidence is the pervasive underlying need for external approval. You undoubtedly recognize this deep-seated feeling, that internal itch that constantly asks, do these people like me? Do they agree with the choices I have made? Am I measuring up to an acceptable standard in their critical eyes? This impulse is often subtle, almost invisible, but it silently controls the direction of so many people's lives. They make choices about how to dress, not because of their own genuine preference, but based purely on what others might possibly say about their appearance. They post content on social media, not with the pure intention to genuinely share their life, but primarily to be validated by the number of likes and comments they receive. They desperately chase fleeting compliments. They go to great lengths to avoid any form of criticism, and they feel entirely crushed and defeated when someone fails to applaud their efforts. Here is the fundamental, inescapable problem with this behavior. The moment your confidence becomes dependent upon the external approval of others, it becomes inherently fragile, like a glass ornament. This is because approval, by its very nature, can be given in one moment and immediately taken away the next. In one breath, people may be enthusiastically cheering for your success, and in the very next, they may be harshly criticizing your every move. If your entire self-worth is allowed to rise and fall based on their ever-changing, unpredictable reactions, you will be condemned to live your life as a mere puppet, constantly being pulled and manipulated by external strings that you possess absolutely no control over. The undeniable truth is that no single person in this vast world owes you their approval. And absolutely no one else's opinion should ever possess the ultimate power to define who you fundamentally are. When you consciously choose to eradicate this deep-seated need for approval, you immediately grant yourself the ultimate freedom. You stop the desperate, endless chase for applause and shift your singular focus toward living a life guided by your own unique authenticity. You cease bending, contorting, and reshaping your entire life simply to fit within the narrow expectations of other people. And you finally begin the vital work of building a life that feels genuinely, profoundly right to you and you alone. That precisely is the fertile ground from which dangerous, unwavering confidence finally springs forth. Reflect for a moment on the specific people you most deeply admire in life. Are they typically the individuals who try with every fiber of their being to please absolutely everyone they meet? Or are they the individuals who courageously stand absolutely firm in their convictions, even in the face of widespread disagreement and disapproval? It is invariably the second group who command true respect, because genuine strength is not found in being universally liked and accepted by all. True strength is found in being deeply respected for standing absolutely true to your own internal compass. Now, it is important to maintain clarity. There is absolutely nothing inherently wrong with genuinely enjoying praise or feeling a sense of happiness when someone sincerely appreciates the quality of your work. The fundamental problem arises when you need it, when you become entirely dependent upon that external validation to feel intrinsically valuable as a person. The precise moment you allow yourself to become dependent upon it, you willingly hand over your most valuable possession, your personal power. You effectively give other people the remote control to your entire emotional state. And be warned, people have a tendency to change those channels with lightning speed and without warning. So, how do you successfully neutralize and kill this destructive need for approval? You must begin with small, intentional actions. Practice the simple yet profound act of saying the word no without immediately feeling the need to over-explain your refusal. Practice making small and large decisions based purely on what you know in your core is fundamentally right for you, even if you are certain that others will not fully understand or agree. Make it a daily ritual to remind yourself with firm conviction that their potential approval is entirely optional and inconsequential. Your commitment to your own self-respect, however, is not optional. It is mandatory. You will begin to notice a powerful, immediate consequence when you stop chasing this phantom approval. Initially, some people in your life will demonstrably dislike your newfound independence. They may resort to calling you arrogant, selfish, or stubbornly resistant to advice, but it is essential that you stay steady and unmoving in your conviction, because inevitably, in time, those very same people will begin to respect you far more deeply than they ever did when you were constantly bending and contorting yourself in a desperate bid for their acceptance. Why does this phenomenon occur? Because while people may briefly enjoy it when you actively seek their approval, they deeply and profoundly admire it when you show them that you possess no need for it whatsoever. Dangerous confidence is truly born the moment you walk into any room and the internal question shifts from "will they like me and accept me?" to the far more powerful and relevant question, "do I respect myself in the manner in which I am currently showing up here?" That fundamental shift in internal perspective changes everything about your interaction with the world. It successfully removes you from the fragile, exhausting role of the performer and instantly elevates you into the powerful, commanding role of the leader. The world has absolutely no need for another person who is perpetually begging for likes, frantically chasing applause, or passively waiting for external permission to live their life. The world only truly respects the individual who possesses no need for any of it. The person who calmly and consistently moves forward with their plans, with or without anyone's approval or validation. The person who lives their life as though they already possess every single resource they could possibly need inside themselves. And that exceptional person can absolutely be you. The very day you consciously stop chasing the ever-elusive dragon of approval, you immediately step into an entirely new dimension of personal freedom. You cease the exhausting habit of constantly reacting to every random comment, every brief look, and every bit of petty criticism that comes your way. You finally begin the exhilarating process of truly living your life entirely on your own terms. That is the moment when people genuinely stop to notice you, not because you have to explicitly ask or beg them for attention, but because they simply cannot ignore the profound presence of someone who has no need for their validation whatsoever. And that, in its purest form, is dangerous, unshakable confidence. One of the most clear and unmistakable signs of true, deep confidence is not measured by how loudly you are capable of speaking, but rather by how quiet and still you have learned to remain in challenging moments. Most people mistakenly believe that strength is intrinsically linked to having the final, clever word or to aggressively proving to everyone how smart, witty, or sharp they are. But the reality is that true strength is, more often than not, the profound opposite of this impulsive behavior. It is the highly disciplined ability to remain calmly steady, to choose silence, and to consciously refuse to be pulled and dragged into every emotional battle and every petty argument that presents itself. Consider for a moment how frequently people completely lose and give away their personal power simply because they lack the necessary discipline to stay quiet. Someone directs a harsh criticism at them, and they instantly snap back with a reactive retort. Someone shows them a casual disrespect, and they immediately explode in a fit of passionate anger. Someone challenges one of their ideas, and they immediately rush to launch a passionate, often ill-prepared defense of themselves. In the heat of those moments, they erroneously believe they are demonstrating strength and conviction, but what they are truly demonstrating is the simple, painful fact that their raw, uncontrolled emotions are in the driver's seat of their actions. And the moment your emotions are controlling you, your power is gone, given away freely. Silence, on the complete other hand, is uniquely disarming. It is subtly unsettling to the aggressor. When people are actively expecting a strong, immediate, and predictable emotional reaction from you, and you respond with absolute stillness and nothingness, they become immediately confused and do not know how to handle the situation. They may push harder, but you remain entirely unmoving. They may launch a fresh attack, and you remain perfectly steady and composed. That is the fundamental reason why silence is so incredibly powerful in confrontation. It clearly demonstrates to the other party that you are not easily shaken, that you cannot be easily manipulated, and that their words or actions did not have the intended effect. Now, to be completely clear, the conscious choice of silence does not inherently equate to a form of weakness. It is not an invitation for people to simply walk all over you and take advantage. It signifies that you are choosing your specific responses with meticulous, careful selection. It means that you consciously refuse to squander your precious mental and emotional energy on battles that are ultimately pointless and beneath your consideration. When you choose to respond with calm silence instead of an immediate raw emotional outburst, you automatically buy yourself invaluable time to think, reflect, and strategize. You grant yourself the necessary space to calmly decide if the current situation even warrants or deserves your focused attention and energy. Imagine a scenario where someone is actively attempting to provoke you. Perhaps they deliver a calculated insult in front of a group of people, fully expecting you to blow up in anger. The majority of people would immediately take the bait and lash out. But if you maintain your composure, if you calmly meet their gaze and simply choose silence, the spotlight of judgment immediately shifts away from you. They are the one who suddenly begins to look foolish and unhinged, not you. Why does this happen? Because you have clearly and unequivocally demonstrated that their words failed to penetrate your inner core. You have proven, without speaking a word, that you are the one in complete control of your reactions and your emotions. There is a vital secondary layer to this practice. Silence not only acts as a powerful protector of your personal power, but it also dramatically increases the impact and strength of your words when you eventually do choose to speak. If you consciously choose to speak less frequently, but always with calm authority and purpose, people will naturally lean in and listen intently. They will understand that you do not waste your words on trivialities. They will know that if you are choosing to speak now, the message must truly matter. That is the fundamental way in which true leaders communicate. That is the essential way that confidently composed people carry themselves through the world. So, how can you immediately begin the practice of this empowering discipline? Start by developing an acute awareness of your personal emotional triggers. Pay close, deliberate attention to those specific moments when you can physically feel your emotions beginning to boil and rise. When someone delivers a stinging criticism, when they disagree with your core position, or when they attempt to mock your efforts, that precise moment is your cue to pause. Do not, under any circumstances, rush into an automatic reaction. Take a deep, controlled breath. Let the silence itself perform the heavy lifting and the work for you. 9 times out of 10, you will inevitably realize that you did not need to respond or say anything at all. And in the rare instances where a response is absolutely necessary, your carefully considered words will then flow from a place of inherent strength and calm conviction, never from a place of uncontrolled impulse. You do not owe every person you encounter a reaction to their every word. You do not have an obligation to passionately defend yourself every time someone casually questions your judgment. You do not have to fight and win every single little battle that presents itself. Sometimes, the most incredibly strong, powerful, and effective thing you can possibly do is absolutely nothing at all. Silence is never truly empty. It is always filled to the brim with profound, untapped power. Think deeply about how this conscious choice fundamentally changes the way other people perceive you. The person who habitually reacts with raw emotion is consistently predictable and therefore easy to control and manipulate. But the person who possesses the internal mastery to remain calmly silent, composed, and truly unbothered by external attacks, that individual is genuinely dangerous because you simply cannot push them around, you cannot successfully get under their skin, and you cannot easily break or shift their focused concentration. True, dangerous confidence isn't found in the act of shouting louder than everyone else in the room. It is found in the magnificent stillness of standing absolutely tall and unmoving while everyone else around you is shouting and screaming at your core, and yet you remain completely steady. It is the decisive, powerful choice of silence when every expectation is for you to unleash a storm of emotion. It is the unshakable demonstration that your emotions are your exclusive property, and they certainly do not belong to anyone else who tries to provoke them. The very next time someone attempts to lure you and pull you into their unnecessary drama and chaos, remember this singular, vital truth. Silence is your strongest shield. Silence is your greatest source of internal strength, and silence is your most powerful asset. Utilize it. Wield it deliberately. And you will quickly discover just how profoundly and permanently unshakable you can truly become. The most profound expressions of confidence often transcend spoken words, originating instead in the subtle yet powerful language of the body. Before you utter a single syllable, your posture, your gait, your eye contact, and your manner of sitting have already broadcast a comprehensive narrative about who you are to the world. Within mere seconds, observers form an initial, deep-seated opinion of you, an impression that takes root long before any verbal exchange begins. This is the silent language of confidence, a communication system that is frequently more compelling and truthful than anything your voice can convey. The fundamental truth is this: when a discrepancy exists between your spoken words and your body language, people will invariably trust the body. You can loudly profess your self-assurance, yet if your frame is slouched, your gaze is shifty and avoids contact, and your hands are fidgeting nervously, the declaration rings hollow, and no one is truly convinced. Conversely, you might remain largely silent, but if your stance is strong and upright, your eyes are steady and calm, and your movements are deliberate and measured, your sheer presence registers powerfully with those around you. 2. Let your body speak first means entering any space with the unapologetic conviction that you belong there. It requires adopting a physique of quiet certainty and strength. Standing tall, setting the shoulders back, opening the chest, and holding the head high. This is not an exhibition of arrogance, but a display of inner equilibrium. It means offering a handshake that is firm and unhurried, conveying respect and presence. It compels you to maintain calm, unblinking eye contact, not as a challenge, but as a statement that you are comfortable being seen and have no need to nervously dart away or apologize for your existence. Consider those individuals you instinctively respect upon their arrival, people who feel no need to announce themselves or overtly prove their worth. Their very presence communicates everything necessary, and this powerful effect is not accidental. It is the direct result of their body language. Furthermore, your body constantly conditions your mind. When you adopt a small, contracted physical posture, you internalize a corresponding feeling of being small. If your physicality suggests you are attempting to hide or retreat, your subconscious mind begins to accept that this is your natural state. However, by sitting upright, by expanding your posture to take up space, and by moving with a clear sense of purpose, you transmit a powerful, life-affirming message to your mind. I am strong, I am stable, I deserve to be here. The mind and body are intricately connected, and for those seeking to cultivate confidence, the most immediate pathway to a mental shift is often a physical one. This is not about pretense or artifice. It is about eliminating the signals that unconsciously sabotage you. It is about systematically removing the habits that project uncertainty and nervousness, the hunched shoulders, the restless, nervous fidgeting, the avoidance of a direct gaze. These minute habits send out silent, damaging messages that you may not consciously register, but which are immediately decoded by others. Once these self-sabotaging behaviors are consciously arrested, your entire demeanor shifts. A simple practical technique involves a brief, purposeful pause at the threshold of any room. At that moment, you take one calm, steady breath, straighten your posture, roll your shoulders back to open the chest, and slightly lift your chin before finally walking in at a composed, steady pace. There is no rush, no hurry, only presence. This single physical adjustment fundamentally alters how others perceive you and, crucially, how you perceive yourself. Another vital practice is to train yourself to sustain eye contact. This should be executed not in a manner that is unsettling or aggressive, but with a calm, steady firmness that projects, "I acknowledge you." and I am entirely at ease with you seeing me. Most people prematurely terminate eye contact due to underlying insecurity. Learning to hold it for just a second longer is an act that communicates profound confidence without the need for a single verbal explanation. When your body confidently tells its story, there is no necessity to oversell your capabilities or aggressively seek attention. People simply feel your presence, and this feeling profoundly changes how they interact with you. They listen with greater focus, they respect your personal space, and they attribute greater credibility to your words. True, dangerous confidence is not about raising your voice. It is about entering a space with such an unshakable, quiet certainty that your presence is impossible to overlook even if you remain silent. Let your body speak first, training it to transmit the correct, potent message. Walk tall, sit steady, maintain eye contact, and move with clear intention. When your body communicates strength, your eventual words merely confirm what everyone has already observed: that you are an individual worthy of attention and respect. Beyond the physical, a leader's confidence is rooted in their ability to lead themselves by stopping the cycle of reaction and starting the practice of leading. The majority of people navigate life in a perpetual reaction mode. They are constantly responding to external stimuli. A criticism prompts an immediate self-defense. A slight provokes an angry retort. Even praise can dictate a momentary feeling of self-worth. This is not the hallmark of confidence, but rather a state of dependency, leaving one vulnerable to external forces. As long as you are merely reacting, you are not truly leading. The reactive person is always lagging a step behind, allowing the external world to dictate their emotional state, their energy, and their decisions. The leader, conversely, establishes the underlying tone and the direction. They do not wait to see what unfolds before they act. They are the architects of what happens. This distinction lies between existing as a mere follower of circumstances and operating as the commander of one's own life. The harsh reality of constant reaction is that it teaches others how to control you. They identify your emotional triggers, and you predictably respond. They learn which words incite your anger, which actions elicit a defensive posture, and which silences induce insecurity. Yet, when you cease the reaction, when you remain calm, steady, and unperturbed, those same individuals lose their leverage. They can no longer easily manipulate your state. This is where confidence begins to adopt a dangerous, untouchable quality. Leading begins with self-leadership. It means deliberately choosing your actions instead of having them chosen for you by default. It means setting your own pace rather than chasing someone else's. It demands asking, what outcome do I want to create in this moment? Instead of, how should I hastily respond to this immediate event? Consider a professional scenario. Your idea is challenged in a meeting. The reactive person instantly launches into a defense, often with a hint of defensiveness or anger. The leader, however, pauses, actively listens, and offers a calm, clear response, or at times opts not to respond at all, instead subtly redirecting the entire conversation back toward the broader strategic objective. This single, self-controlled choice instantly redefines the room's energy. In relationships, the reactive person is perpetually adjusting to another's mood fluctuations. The leader, however, establishes the stable emotional ground, remaining steady and unaffected by the other person's volatility, and frequently, their calmness becomes the anchor that the other person's chaos eventually follows. Leadership is not about dominating others. It is about mastering oneself to such a profound degree that one's presence positively influences all surrounding elements. People naturally gravitate toward those who are unshakable, clear-headed, and impervious to every minor distraction. You do not require a title or a spotlight to embody this. You only need discipline over your own internal state. The transition from reaction to leadership requires a deliberate effort to slow down. Do not surrender the reins to your immediate emotions. Pause before you respond, consciously asking, what is the desired outcome I am pursuing here, and what is the most effective way for me to achieve it? This brief second of thoughtful interjection possesses the power to completely change the trajectory of any interaction. Furthermore, set your intentions in advance of a challenging situation. Before entering a stressful environment, predetermine, I will maintain my calm, I will articulate my thoughts clearly, and I will not permit anyone to disrupt my balance. Entering with this predetermined mindset means you are leading the situation rather than merely reacting to it. And finally, remember that leading is fundamentally about owning yourself, not proving yourself. You do not need to emerge victorious in every argument or micromanage every detail. You simply need to control your own response. This calm, centered self-control is a magnetic force. People intuitively look to you, often without you even having to ask. Dangerous confidence is established when you stop granting the external world the authority to determine your actions. By halting the pervasive reaction and commencing to lead with clear intention, you rise above the emotional noise. You transition from playing defense to directing the course of the game. Once this shift is made, you are no longer at the mercy of life's events. Rather, life's events are subject to your deliberate control.